Hey guys, I'm joined right now by the Bouncers. You know them well from Ring of Honor TV. Beer City Bruiser, Brian Malonis. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Can't
How about you?
can't complain.
Uh, I have my screen door open, so that's a good thing.
That's a plus.
Yeah, it's nice to actually go outside and you know kind of enjoy myself instead of worrying about being socially distanced. So
I hear you.
I still do it in public, but my backyard's different. Um, it's actually kind of funny the way the timing worked out for this because just under a year ago, I talked to you guys, and you were kind of really like my first pandemic interview. We all really didn't know what was going on, and like you guys talked about being in Las Vegas, and you know, plenty of questions. So, you know, almost a year later, what's working, what's not. I'm sure we'll get into you guys being able to coexist as we get into this, but how are you feeling about your respective careers in Ring of Honor and individually right now?
I mean, the good thing is we're wrestling now. I mean, I think that's I think probably the last time we talked, we were still in a very uncertain state of when we were even going to wrestle again. So it might not be what it used to be as far as, a few times every month and hitting the road and traveling all over the place. But, it's good just to be back, wrestling, filming Ring of Honor, and doing so in an environment where we feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in the ring. It sucks there's no fans there, because the fans are such a big part of what we do. But it's kind of taught us a new way of wrestling. Instead of wrestling for instant gratification, get that ooh or ah from the crowd right away. We got to wait until it airs either on YouTube or on TV, and then get the reaction on social media. So that took getting used to. But now I think that we're doing it. We're going into, I think, our fourth or fifth bubble coming up, and really excited and looking forward to it, and seeing what the future holds.
And one thing to kind of point out is I sort of remember, but when we did the first call, it was like, how do we do this? How do we get connected? And now it's just like, oh, Zoom. Okay, here, button. So I will, glass half full put over being able to learn a little more about technology and all that. So, fans aren't there, but two of my perks are I watch no spoilers, and technology, it's easier to work around. So
imagine if you bought Zoom stock in like January.
I wish.
I do want to go on record that it's been almost a year since I've worn a pair of jeans, so I'm going for that record. I haven't worn a pair of jeans since all this started, and
same here.
One thing I do want to get into, I will mention the match this week is the feature match, Ring of Honor YouTube. It's the Bouncers, the Soldiers of Savagery, and the Foundation, Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus. You guys are going into action. You're heading into battle together, but you guys have been at odds lately. That's the simple way of putting it. This year, it was supposed to be the year of the beer, and you guys aren't getting along so much on TV. So what's going on there?
I wouldn't say we're at odds. Like, everyone keeps saying that. And that's the thing that's really making me upset. They're saying the Bouncers are over, the Bouncers this, Bouncers that. No. I didn't hit Brian over the head with a beer bottle. I didn't turn my back on Brian. I haven't said anything negative about Brian. Brian is my brother. He is my best friend. We're just at a crossroads right now where we see differently. And hopefully Brian comes around. But this match that's going to be airing, we're going to show everybody that, hey, even though we're arguing behind the scenes and stuff, when we get in front of that camera, when it comes down to it, we're going to punch people in the mouth. We're going to fight, and we're going to win. We're going to do whatever it takes to win.
I mean, I look at it like we're going to do whatever it takes that's not going to get us disqualified, because if we're going to get disqualified, there's really no sense in doing what we're doing. I mean, I think the real problem is that we're just frustrated. We are just at a point of frustration. Things haven't been going the way we wanted them to. We feel like the pandemic, really put a halt on everything we were doing. And then when we came back, we had a tough loss. We've had a couple tough losses to really good teams, but a couple of tough losses that could have really propelled us to a title shot. And I think the tough thing, for me to accept with Bruiser is the fact that Matt Taven and Mike Bennett have been my friends for 15 years, and have been a friend to Bruiser. So I get being frustrated. I was pretty frustrated and mad that we lost to them, but I'm not I think there's a certain way to do things, and we got away from Silas Young for a reason, so yeah. I don't want to slip back into that.
The thing that makes me mad, the reason that the bottle to Taven's head had to happen was when the pandemic started, who stepped up? Bouncers did. We created Happy Hour. We were one of the most watched things on ROH social media. And yet all everyone could talk about was Mike Bennett coming back from 5 years and Taven coming back and all that. It's like, well, wait a minute, we're the guys that are working hard and all that. So I made a statement, Brian, you just got to see that. I made a statement. It worked, but that's the past. Let's focus on the future, which is this match coming up, and let's punch people in the face.
Yeah, I think that's what we've done is just, hey, we're going to agree to disagree here. We've had our outs. Brothers fight. Brothers have disagreements. Everything is not always, it's just, this is a very public, disagreement. This isn't the first disagreement we've had. And, that's what we have to do. We just have to win. This is a must win for us. We have to go into this match against SOS and the Foundation and show that we're the bounce, we're as good as we've ever been, that the Bouncers are as united as we've ever been. And we're ready to take that next step.
And plus a win over SOS would be amazing because they're the current 6-man champions with Shane Taylor Promotions. And then a win over the Foundation, man, that says something, because the Foundation, they're the guys right now. They're the talk of the town. So let's do what it takes to make sure we're the talk of the town.
I think one thing that's really important to remember, you touched on it. You guys, and you're not, you said you don't like at odds, you're just difference of an opinion. But if the past year or so has taught anybody anything, it's that, people need to work more on working together, even though they have a difference of opinion. So even though you guys don't agree with each other in some respects right now, you can still step in the ring as a team and get it done. So I think that's important to highlight.
Yeah, it's sad that nowadays everybody is all cancel this, cancel that when they don't agree with somebody. We need to go back to when we're adults. And if you don't have the same opinion, you discuss it like adults. Now, Brian and I, we don't see eye to eye. He doesn't agree with what I did. I don't agree with his thinking, but it doesn't mean that we're just going to automatically turn our back on the last, we've been a team for 3 years. We literally, before the pandemic, was spending every waking moment with each other. You don't throw all that away just because you have a difference of opinion. And I think that's what's wrong with society today. Everybody wants to, oh, your opinion's not mine, I'm done with you. And you can't do that. You got to talk like adults. You got to, and this match is going to show Brian and I, behind the scenes, we're talking like adults,
Yeah, and this isn't some situation where we just, we decided to do this Bouncers thing. We decided to team. This wasn't a situation where, everybody always talks about with tag teams, like when they're going to break up or something like that. Like, we wanted to break that mold. We wanted to be that tag team that, we stay together through thick and thin. And, anybody who sits there and tells you, hell, the Briscoe brothers have fought each other before, and they're still all right. So, I think it's just a matter of working through the differences, and most importantly, leaving the differences in the locker room when we go out and fight. Because we have one common goal, and that's the thing that keeps us together. That's the thing that unites us, and we want to be the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. That goal has never changed. It's been the goal since day one. It's the goal as we sit here today.
I don't want to say, have you thought about splitting up, because we just talked about, you guys can still work together, but has you know, Bruiser's actions made you, Brian, think any more about, maybe he's right, maybe he's not? Like, can you put aside friendship, like you mentioned? And I've learned one other thing I've learned more and more this year is about how deep your roots go with the New England guys, like Buffalo, New England. Like, you guys seem like you have a deeper bond than most guys coming up through the indies and through the like regional territories and stuff. But I mean, have you thought that, maybe you should put the team first and put, worry about the friendship stuff when you're not in the arena?
I mean, I don't know that I'm putting the friendships above the team. I mean, I think it's a matter. I mean, I'm just as frustrated as Bruiser. I'm just as upset. I don't think my focus has been any less. I'm just not gonna, I mean, the focus is put on the friendships because it just happens to be guys who, by the way, they are my friends and I've known them longer. But they're Bruiser's friends too. These guys have been friends with Bruiser behind the scenes too. Like, these. But I don't think I put that friendship ahead of it. I just don't agree with whether it's OGK, whether it's SOS, whether it's the foundation. I don't agree with taking a beer bottle and smashing it over their head because we lost a match. You put us in like a barroom brawl, that's when beer bottles get smashed. But a match where we lost fair and square. I mean, I'm man enough to sit here and tell you that they were just better than us. They were 3 seconds better than us, on that match. And that is what it is. And that's for us to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to be better. But I've never put friendships ahead of the team. I just don't agree with wrapping a beer bottle around somebody's head who has done nothing wrong to us.
See, but wrapping the beer bottle around someone's head got us in the conversation. Where before it was always, oh, the bouncers, they're fun to drink with. They're guys where, oh, this guy can't make the tag team thing, so let's throw the bouncers in there. The bouncers always been the go-to, But then when it comes to conversations about great stuff, you talk about tag teams in Ring of Honor. You mentioned the Briscoes, you mentioned OGK. Mike Bennett hasn't been here for 5 years, but they're still including the conversation. But the bouncers are always kind of left off. They're always, oh yeah, this is that. A beer bottle over Matt Taven's head. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about Beer City Bruiser. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about the bouncers. Everybody, we're in that conversation. Friendships end when you walk out. When you walk out, you go in there, friendships end.
We were in the tag team rankings before that match. We fell out of the tag team rankings because we lost. Just because a few people online or whatever talking about the fact that you hit Matt Taven in the head when he wasn't expecting it with a beer bottle, we're actually literally further away from the tag team championship, further away from our goals than we were when we started this.
I disagree. I see. This is where we have difference in opinions, and hopefully, Brian, you come around, we can get those tag team golds,
It's about winning matches. We got to win matches.
You guys are going to have your chance to get back on the same page this week on Ring of Honor's feature match. As I mentioned, it's the Soldiers of Savagery against yourselves, and then the Foundation. Now, the Foundation, you just made a good point about, people want to mention other names before they get to yours. And, it almost feels like the Foundation facing them puts a chip on your shoulder, I would argue, more than, any other team, because they've been so heavily featured on Ring of Honor TV lately. Do you guys feel that?
The way I look at it is beating either one of these teams is going to move us up anywhere, because SOS getting with Shane Taylor was the best thing they could have done. Shane Taylor led them to the 6-man tag, championships. That's something there. The Foundation, now with the reset, that's how the Foundation was born. When Ring of Honor decided to reset, go back to the beginning, Foundation was formed. So they are the talk of the town. Us beating them makes us talk of the town. Look what happened with Roosh and his crew. They come out there in the Foundation thing, they start messing with them, and now everyone's talking about whatever, and Gobros against the Foundation. Well, I'll picture this. The Bouncers beat the Foundation. We pinned them. We hurt them. We do whatever it takes to win. Now the bouncers are in that conversation. It's all about making everybody talk about the bouncers. They start talking about us, we start getting the opportunities that we're deserved.
I mean, those guys are kind of pretentious anyways. I'll say that. Like, I think the pure wrestling thing has been great, but those guys walk around with a certain air about them, kind of with their noses in the air. They kind of think their crap doesn't stink. So, I don't like that. I don't like when people just think they're better than me. And that's the way those guys walk around now. So, there's a little something. I mean, I don't want to speak for Bruiser in this one, but there's a little something extra there of I'm going to feel good hitting those guys in the mouth. The professional wrestling at some point, like, I get the pure stuff. And just because, that's not our forte doesn't mean we can't do it. But I like hitting people in the mouth. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was my next question. What's your thoughts on their message or their goal of trying to purify wrestling, purify Ring of Honor? Brian just shared his thoughts. Like, Bruiser, I'll give you the chance to respond to that as well.
I think the pure division is a great division. It brought eyes back onto Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor did something that no other company did, and that's the pure division. And with the reboot, that was the talk of the town. That whole tournament was amazing to watch. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of professional wrestling. I love wrestling. I think it's great. I love pure wrestling. But the thing is, and Brian said it himself, that's a division of Ring of Honor. Where there's, as a whole company, I'm not, you don't look at the Beer City Bruiser and think, oh, there's a pure wrestler. I can do it. But like Brian said, I'd rather punch a guy in the mouth. I'd rather break his nose and pin him, than have to worry about rope breaks and the counts and all that, and the penalties for the punch in the face and all that. And I want to punch the foundation in the face. I want to show them, guys, you're not in a pure match. You're in a wrestling match. You're in a fight. You're in the fight with two of the biggest guys in Ring of Honor. And, punching them in the mouth and doing whatever it takes, if it's a beer bottle, if it's something else, hey, it's what it is,
One other thing I did want to touch on, Brian, you're pretty open about this, about knowing, you want to lose weight, and, just wanted to ask how you're doing with that. Say thank you for, being open with it. I know that's probably something that's not easy to do, but, how are you doing with that? And have your thoughts changed since you've been doing it, as far as, whether you want to work a different style, whether besides punching people in the mouth, like,
Yeah, I mean, I think my forte has always been I can do things athletically at a bigger size than than people who are much smaller than me. When I really put that statement out, is because I just saw a lot of people talking about it. It's very clear that I've put on weight, and I thought it was important to address from a number of standpoints. The last year has been hard on a lot of people, myself included. And when you're not vigilant about stuff, it can get away with you. And then weight is something I've definitely struggled with my whole life. The last year especially, it really got away from me with not having wrestling and everything kind of in the world getting taken away. And again, I think a lot of people have gone through it, and I guess I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where sharing my story, sharing what's going on with me, might help people. It's been going great. I'm down 31 pounds. So just keep pushing. It's just, making sure I'm making the smart choices, with my food, making sure I'm exercising, but it's also, I think, taking care of myself mentally as well, making sure that I'm reaching out to others, when I'm not feeling so great. And I think, there's a lot of conversation about mental health and stuff these days. I think that's a really great thing. Especially, it's not the manliest thing to do, when you're taught growing up as a boy, it's that old mentality of swallow down your feelings, you'll be fine. And then that gets you sometimes to the point that I've gotten to in the last year. I will say, through our on-camera troubles, nobody's been there more for me than Bruiser, pushing me along, encouraging me. I understand it's going to be a long road. I think that was probably posting that was probably one of the lowest moments I think I've ever experienced. But born out of that was so many people sharing their personal stories with me, both publicly and privately. I was flooded. I couldn't even keep up. It took me like 4 or 5 days to go through all the messages, and it really just was. It was super inspiring, and made me feel good. Made me feel like people really cared about me, and that's never a bad thing. And no, but I'm doing great. Like I said, it's gonna be a long road. I'm a big boy. I'm always going to be a big boy, but I need to be, at a healthy weight, not only for professional wrestling, but make sure I'm around for those important moments that are going to happen in my family's life over the coming decades.
Yeah, I
And
think
the good thing too that people need to realize, and Brian won't say it, is Brian did something that a lot of people don't do, and that's he held himself accountable. I've had numerous conversations with Brian, and he's always held himself accountable. He didn't blame anybody else. He didn't blame the pandemic. He didn't blame all this. He was accountable. And him putting that message out, I remember talking to him before he put it out, and it was a hard decision, but it was the right decision because Brian is a public figure and got to share his story. And I've had numerous messages where Brian's texted me, "Hey man, I don't want to go to the gym today. Tell me something. Give me motivation." And I've said my piece, and it's vice versa. There's days where I don't want to go, and he's been there for me. But the thing that needs to be taken out is, especially nowadays with mental health being the forefront of everything, is Brian held himself accountable. He knew there was a problem. He saw there was a problem, and he accepted that. And instead of being a woe is me, he made a plan, executed the plan, and he's moving forward. And he asked for help. That's the thing that draws me to Brian is Brian wears his heart on his sleeve, and he asked for help. He said, "Guys, this is what's going on. I need help." And like he said, we're the generation that we were raised not to do that, and he did. And every day it's great hearing Brian's success, and it'll be great when people see the new Brian because he's a success story. And it all started with him being accountable and him accepting the responsibility and doing that. And I think a lot of people need to look up to that and give Brian credit for that. Not an easy decision, but he made that decision and he did it. And Brian will always be one of my best friends, and I admire him for doing that. And it helped me, it motivates me to be there because we're in this together, and I've always just want people to know that Brian is a great guy, and him holding himself accountable is a great trait.
I said this at the time, but I'm going to repeat it again. Taking care of yourself and your family, putting your health first is really what matters. That's the badass part. I appreciate you for sharing. I can honestly say, like, it meant something to me reading that. I'm sure it meant something to other people, not just, talking in the scope of, Ring of Honor and Bouncer fans, but, I really hope that, sharing it helped you. Maybe somebody that read your original comments, it helps somebody else. I hope somebody that watches or hears this, it helps them too. And it's great to see that, like Bruiser just said, you're holding yourself accountable. That's awesome. You're doing great work, and keep it up, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just for me it was eye opening. Of not that I've always I'm very lucky. I've had a great support system. Now, did I always use that support system? Maybe not, because again, you just get in that mindset of I got this. I can take care of it. But it made me feel very much not alone. And I think for anybody who's struggling with weight problems or self-esteem or anything, like you're not alone. Just because you see somebody on TV or something like that doesn't mean people don't struggle with that. So if my story can help anybody, or if I can help anybody as I go through my own journey, I'd love to do that, because the way people kind of wrapped their arms around me when I shared my story, made me realize I'm not alone, and there is a lot of people out there going through the same thing, and it's really helped keep pushing me through those days where I don't want to work out or where I don't want to be vigilant about my diet.
One other thing I did want to bring up, it actually just posted before we got on this call, was Bruiser responded to one of Danny Cage's comments about, speaking in terms of being healthy in the ring is not just about what you look like. You know, it's about conditioning yourself for in-ring stuff. Like, you don't want to gas yourself out. And I think that's really important. Bruiser said, you know, it was a great outlook from Danny. Like, it, how does that, like, both of you, like, how has, you know, the layoff been for you as far as conditioning? Because there's wrestling is a vanity sport to a lot of people. So how do you stay, you know, in ring shape, in good ring shape, when you, like you said, you're not wrestling a couple times a week anymore? You're getting only a few times here and there. So how has that, you know, changed your outlook? How has that affected your conditioning? Like, either one of you?
Well,
It's tough.
the thing about Brian and I is, and we both pride ourselves on this, is when you look at us, you're expecting a certain thing, and then we go out, we destroy that. You know, we break the mold. And that's why I like Danny's tweet, because Brian and I, when we broke in, it was the 6'4", 240-pound jacked up musclehead time period. You know, and here we came in 300+ pounds, muscular but not jacked up, but we could go, and we could do the 60-minute matches, 30-minute matches, and not get blown up and all that. Since the pandemic's come in, you learn a whole new way of working out, whether it be in the gym, whether it be at home doing DDP yoga. You find out how much diet is really important, about what you eat and stuff like that. I was lucky enough, there's a wrestling school nearby where I'm able to get in the ring a couple times a week to keep my ring conditioning up, and you know, keep in ring shape. So when we get to TV and stuff like that, I'm ready to go. But you just got to adapt, you know. And then being two big guys like Brian and I have always learned to adapt. But we've always prided ourselves on conditioning. You know, we've always been in ring shape. And like,
Yeah,
during the
ring
pandemic, it's
shape
a
is
struggle.
different.
But yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. The only thing, I mean, for other people who, you know, if you don't do wrestling, if you're into football, like, that's the only other sport I think I've ever participated in where the type of shape you need to be in is similar, because you need to be physical and then up and down. And there's a lot of similar stuff. But yeah, it's been really tough. You know, I haven't been as lucky as Bruiser when it comes to being able to get in the ring. You know, my home promotion from way back is Chaotic Wrestling, and they have the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. But they're, you know, they were under some restrictions for a while, and then just I try to be really careful. You know, not to say Bruiser's not, but you know, I don't, you know, I just don't have the same connection where I could just go and get that ring time. So I miss it, and it's tough. So I mean, the way is just, for me, it's been switching up how I'm training. You know, switching up, you know, what I'm doing, you know, to try to simulate, you know, whether it be interval training.
You know, when we first talked, we didn't know if there was going to be any new wrestling. Luckily, we have new wrestling. What have you guys seen in the past year that, you know, whether it's your own matches, whether it's somebody else's matches, anything stand out as far as like something you would recommend to fans right now?
I recommend Ring of Honor. And that's not just because I wrestle for the company, but go back to the peer tournament and watch on. The reset has been nothing but positive for Ring of Honor. All the characters are coming out. You got the peer wrestling. Danhausen's with the company. Brian Johnson's running Wreaking Havoc. Like, I'm a big fan of watching our product, and it's not just me. I have friends that watch it now too that never watched it before, and they decided to do it with the reset. Now they're watching it and having a good time with it. And I'm a big fan of our company. I was before, but now I'm an even bigger fan. Like, the reset's been nothing but good, and just watch it. You know, and that, yes, I work for the company, but even if I wasn't working for the company, I'd say the same thing. It's amazing wrestling going on right now. It's our TV show is an hour long of wrestling matches, you know, and it's fun. It's fun to watch.
I agree. The restart has been great. I love the new direction of the company, and, you know, let's roll.